Help you stay informed and keep your family safe.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Pittawanich.
And I'm David Molko.
Weather impact alerts to help you plan your week.
We need to be extra careful with anything that can throw a spark.
And a team of local journalists connected to our community. David Molko, Christine Pittawanich, and Matt Zaffino. Your evening news team, tonight on KGW.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Our top story here at 5:30, a key breakthrough in the effort to replace the Interstate bridge. Today, the U.S. Coast Guard gave the green light for a fixed span bridge, which means no drawbridge.
And while that is a significant step forward, there is still a long way to go. Tim Gordon's here with the update. Tim?
Yeah, guys, the U.S. Coast Guard agreed to reverse an earlier decision that would have required the replacement bridge to match the current twin bridge's 178 feet of clearance. Commandant Admiral Kevin Lundy. decided today to lower the minimum height to 116 feet. The new decision isn't an actual permit for the project, but it does signal that the Coast Guard will grant a formal permit. A design is expected soon, given that the project team hopes to begin construction by September. Lawmakers were happy with this news because adding a drawbridge would have cost around $1 billion more. Washington Senator Maria Cantwell wrote, quote, "This approval means the Coast Guard determined the new bridge doesn't need to have a lift, which will eliminate the only stoplight on Interstate 5, put an end to commute interruptions, and save millions in construction costs." The vast majority of the maritime community agrees that the new bridge design will not only allow river commerce to continue, but also improve safe passage down the river. Now, the next hurdle is the federal environmental review process that's dragged on for years and can't be finished until a design is chosen. And the project still needs more funding. It's secured $5.5 billion based on the projection that it would cost $6 billion to build, but the cost of the project has now ballooned to more than $13 billion. So far, it's unclear where that additional money will come from. Back to you.
Tim Gordon with the update. Appreciate it, Tim.
Now to a follow-up on a new gambling scandal surrounding college basketball.
26 people have been charged in a new federal indictment, including a former Oregon Duck. Prosecutors allege deliberately changed how he played. Catherine Cook has the details.
We're talking about dozens of games, athletes, 17 teams. I do view it as historic.
U.S. Attorney David Metcalf noting the gravity of the FBI's college basketball betting investigation. On Thursday, federal prosecutors announced they'd indicted 26 people, including 22 former college players, in connection with a basketball game-fixing scandal. Investigators believe those involved rigged college games in the U.S. and pro basketball games in China starting in 2022. Among those charged, Jalen Terry, who played one season for the Oregon Ducks in 2021. Prosecutors say Terry's involvement in the scheme happened later during the 2023-24 season when he played for DePaul. Federal investigators accused Terry and 3 teammates of taking bribes to underperform in the first halves of 3 games.
They did so with carefully orchestrated FaceTime calls to obscure and prevent their communications from being intercepted and recorded.
The FBI says fixers would bet hundreds of thousands of dollars on games, and players would get $10,000 to $30,000 a game for underperforming. The indictment suggests certain players were targeted because they were missing out on NIL money.
There's more education needs to take place at these colleges and even the pro level, warning people of the pitfalls of shady characters who may try and entice you into fixing a game.
Brian Berger hosts Sports Business Radio. He's looked in depth at the sports betting world and isn't surprised by cases like these.
With the legalization of sports gambling, this has opened up Pandora's box to things like this happening more often. This isn't just happening in college sports, it's happening in pro sports. Obviously, people here locally know what's happened with Chauncey Billups.
In October, the FBI indicted Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups, accusing him of playing in rigged poker games linked to the mafia. An unnamed person matching Billups' description is also accused, but not charged with fixing an NBA game. Billups has denied the allegations.
This is widespread, and I think we're going to see more and more of this.
That was Catherine Cook reporting. Charges in this case include bribery in sports, wire fraud, as well as aiding and abetting. Meanwhile, when it comes to the case against Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups, you may recall Billups pleaded not guilty in federal court in November and was released on bond. He's currently barred from gambling and his travel is limited. He's also on unpaid leave from the team. All 31 defendants in the gambling case are due back in court in March. The judge has said he hopes to hold a trial in the fall.
A popular online gaming platform is facing a new federal lawsuit alleging it failed to protect a 12-year-old Washington girl from a predator. Bridget Chavez has the details.
It's supposed to be a game for kids.
The whole thing is geared to kids.
But this lawsuit alleges Roblox has become something far more dangerous, a hunting ground for child predators.
They are really looking to hold Roblox accountable, But beyond that, to make sure that what happened to them does not happen to any other family.
The lawsuit filed Thursday morning in federal court in Northern California was brought on behalf of a Snohomish County family. It alleges a predator targeted their daughter when she was just 12 years old.
We have over 40 cases now filed all over the country, and the facts read almost, verbatim, where you have a predator that is using Roblox to prey on a young child.
Jamie Powers, an attorney for the family, says what happened here follows that same pattern. The predator identified and targeted her in a Roblox game, falsely claiming to be a child of her age. Then employed well-documented grooming tactics, building trust under the false pretense that he was a peer. He then manipulated the plaintiff into believing that they were in a relationship and coerced her into sending multiple explicit images of herself. If she refused, he threatened her until she complied with his demands. In a statement, Roblox said in part, "We are deeply troubled by any incident that endangers any user. Roblox aims to build a platform that sets the bar for safety online, and we prioritize the safety of our community." Legal experts say this case hinges on a much bigger question.
The parents and the people that are bringing the lawsuits are trying to claim, no, you're a product. And as a product, you bear liability, like if I was putting out a defective car or a defective drug or any of those kinds of things, you're strictly liable for the results of that.
That responsibility is exactly what courts are now being asked to weigh.
Obviously, if you're going to maintain a playground, then you have a responsibility to make sure that there's nothing like flamethrowers or pointed sticks or other kinds of things around kids.
Bridget Chavez, King 5 News.
For the fourth year in a row, lawmakers in Olympia are debating whether to lower the state's legal blood alcohol limit for drivers. This House bill would drop the threshold from 0.08 to 0.05. During a committee meeting, the sister of a man killed by an impaired driver telling lawmakers her brother's death was completely preventable.
A woman who had DUIs spanning 40 years, never took her foot off the gas, and impacted his car, his Corvette, at 75 miles an hour. Holding on to grief and anger isn't productive, but solutions are. And that's why I'm asking you today to please pass this bill.
Several organizations, including the Washington Hospitality Association, the Wine Commission, and Brewers Guild, spoke out against the bill, saying it would put an unfair burden on businesses and their staff.
This bill imposes new restrictions on responsible consumers and added liability on small businesses like breweries by expecting staff to identify when a customer has reached a 0.05 BAC when there is no training or practical means to do so.
If it's passed, the change would take effect in July. Straight ahead on KGW News, tax time gets more complicated. What filers need to know.
And the Super Bowl halftime show is looking for help, but with a surprising catch. Why some workers will have to meet a strict height requirement. Matt?
How about some halftime snow? That's what we're looking for up in the Cascades. It is fairly grim up there. You see all the dry areas up on Mount Hood. There is skiing to be had, and they're taking great care of the snow that we have. Only 45 degrees, though, and we won't get snow this weekend. We won't get snow next week. We'll turn our sights towards next weekend.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
Well, I like to get organized early, and so I say it's never too early to get your tax paperwork together. This year, there are some big changes, by the way.
Yeah, Brian Abel looks at what you need to know.
Filing your taxes.
It's very confusing.
And even more so this tax season. Why? The passage of President Trump's signature law, the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, that's ushered in a handful of tax changes. Let's highlight the big ones, starting with higher standardized deductions. For singles, it was $15,000.
For 2025, it goes up to $15,750.
SALT stands for state and local taxes. And it was a key sticking point during negotiations of the bill. There's a cap on how much in SALT one can pay depending on adjusted gross income.
The old law was a $10,000 cap. Now you can get anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000 in 2025.
But John Karp from accounting firm Whitley Penn says, don't forget how the standardized deductions factor in.
Remember, you got to first crest that hurdle of the standard deduction of $31,500 if you're married filing joint. So if you never can get to your itemized deductions, the state and local taxes don't matter anyway because it's an itemized deduction.
Another change is for all of the servers out there.
That's no tax on tips.
With some caveats.
No tax on tips is capped at $25,000 per return. So if you have a married filing joint couple, they only get $25,000. It's not $25,000 per person.
That's Brian Abel reporting. So many details always in the fine print here. A lot to keep track of, but glad, something to celebrate. Not tax season, the weekend. Hi,
yeah.
Matt.
Hey, yeah, the weekend's going to be great. And check out the color out of the Oregon coast. So set all your tax worries aside and enjoy the sunshine.
I saw you and I took a deep breath.
We got March for that.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
Yeah,
that's gorgeous.
We should get. Did you say deduction for that?
I
think we should.
Yeah,
right?
I think the IRS would approve.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd be all over that.
We'll convince them.
But the color is great. We've got 51 degrees right now out of Lincoln City. It is a fantastic day, and it's going to be a great weekend out of the coast. Now, here in the valleys, if you live near the gorge, you're well aware of the wind. It's gusting and has been gusting to 67 miles an hour up at Corbett and Crown Point, east side of Troutdale 54, Happy Valley 42, and the West Hills has gusts about 30 miles an hour. These strong winds will continue into tomorrow before they begin to back off on Sunday. And you can see that on the modeling here. Where the color is, that's where the winds are the strongest through the gorge, extending out into the Portland area, although the really strong winds will be east of I-205. And some of the gaps in the valleys and the coast range getting some pretty good winds, and same thing up in the Cascades. But the real strong wind increasingly becoming confined to the gorge and specifically the west side of the gorge. But this is Monday. We're still getting some pretty good gusts on the east side of town, so keep an eye on that. But the wind advisory goes until tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Then we expect the winds to back below advisory criteria. So again, this is where it's really howling out there, and that's going to be the case overnight tonight. Now, other advisories in Oregon, they are all air stagnation advisories because it's exactly what it sounds like, stagnant air under this area of high pressure that we have. And you can see the fog in the valleys here from Bend up to the Dalles and then out towards Pendleton, and that's really keeping temperatures cold. It is a temperature inversion, meaning the temperature profile of the atmosphere is the inverse or the opposite of how it normally is. You know, it gets colder as you go aloft. With an inversion, all the cold air is down low, and it gets warmer as you go up to a point. But you can see how chilly or how foggy it is over in that area. We didn't have the fog, so we warmed up to near 60 again. Scappoose, Hillsborough, McMinnville was 58. We had 60s on the coast, even 70s for the third day in a row down in Brookings, 72 degrees there. Bend, interestingly enough, Bend and Prineville topped out just barely above freezing. 2 days ago, they didn't have the fog and they were in the 60s, so a massive turnaround, like 30 degrees over those 2 days. Massive area of high pressure still right over us. It's not breaking down quickly, and for that reason, we stay dry. Notice the east winds crossing the Cascades, coming through the gorge. What about precipitation? not next week. This is Saturday, not tomorrow. A week from tomorrow, finally getting some snow and some valley rain pushing our way. Doesn't look like an especially strong system, but we'll take what we can get and be happy about that, right? As this high pressure will break down and we'll get at least some westerly flow and some weather systems coming on in to bring us some precipitation. 47 degrees right now. Freezing level is nearly at 13,000 feet, which is ridiculously high for January. That's more like a July or August freezing level. Clear, windy for the east side of town, gusts at 35 miles an hour there. 7-day forecast, 53 on Sunday. MLK Day, 54, and still mostly sunny, even with the wind backing off. The lows generally above freezing. Parts of the valley, though, may drop 2 or below freezing, could get some frost. Then on Tuesday, mostly sunny. Wednesday and Thursday, partly sunny. Highs still in the upper 40s with lows in the 30s. And again, hopefully a turnaround beginning next weekend. And after that, we're looking into February. And again,
wow,
we may be just watching skiing on the Olympics for a while.
Oh, no. Why
No,
did you say
I
that?
shouldn't have said that. They're skiing right now. I'll be up this weekend, and there'll be more skiing through the winter.
It'll get
Yes,
better.
yes, hoping for it. Thank you, Matt.
Sure.
Well, still to come, Oregon students learning skills like welding, farming, and leadership. Why some worry the future of programs like this one could be at risk. That's
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
Oregon's budget crunch could soon ripple into classrooms and beyond, especially in eastern Oregon.
The Future Farmers of America Group, or FFA, says proposed cuts in Salem would limit hands-on learning and leadership training for students who rely on those opportunities. Here's Hunter Funk in Harney County.
A senior at the Crane Union High School.
I'm a junior at Harper High School.
I go to school at Crane Union High School, and I'm a senior this year.
It's hard to not be in agriculture in some way, but a lot of mine is mostly just kind of with family. And then not until I think my 9th grade year, my freshman year, I was actually involved in FFA, and that's kind of what got me more into the agricultural industry.
We have about 70 acres of cattle and sheep and horses, and we also have chickens. We have pasture, and then we also have another about 50 acres of hay. In the summer, I'm constantly running a tractor. I'm doing that with my father. And then in the winter, I am building barns, building stuff for the sheep and the cattle.
With ag, I started it my freshman year, not really having a background. None of my family has done ag, and I've really enjoyed it. It's helped me grow in so many ways. I've gained so many skills, and I'm just appreciative of that.
For these students, ag education looks different. Some grew up in it. Others found it through the Future Farmers of America Group, or FFA, but all of them are gaining skills, inside and outside of the classroom, like public speaking, welding, and other trade skills. But now the program helping shape those paths could be impacted by proposed state budget cuts in Oregon.
So the impact is huge. It affects every community in our state, truly.
There are 176 ag instructors and more than 15,000 FFA members across the state. Since 2019, Oregon has helped fund FFA through the Department of Education, covering student dues, leadership programs, classroom support, and additional pay for the teachers.
We've been extremely successful in removing barriers for participation for students. And the goal of the funds that come from the state is really to take those historically underserved students, so students from rural communities who are financially challenged, those that might be part of a minority group, and give them the opportunity to participate in FFA.
Now, a recommendation to cut about $1.1 million for programs like FFA and career and technical education courses could change that. Educators say without that funding, participation could shrink and opportunities could disappear.
When you start looking at cutting these budgets, that's the type of things that maybe you don't think about, but they could definitely be cut. And in order to continue them, we would probably have to put that burden back on the students and their parents in order to pay for that transportation costs and that stuff to get there. And we're on this side of the state, we're historically under the poverty level. And so you're definitely going to eliminate a certain cross section of your students that maybe just couldn't afford it.
Sherman says programs like FFA do more than teach agriculture. They help prepare students for the workforce, especially at a time when farming and trade industries are struggling to find skilled workers.
We have high demand kids. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I've been told that as soon as an employer gets an application that says FFA on it, they immediately take a double look at that resume because they know the skills that we're teaching these kids.
The proposed cuts aren't final. Lawmakers will decide in the coming weeks, but students say what's being debated is bigger than the budget line.
Farmers are going to be then even harder to find, and we're not going to be able to have as many people. I mean, world hunger is a huge thing that's still happening. We want to be able to stop that. It's just going to get worse.
We are agriculture and we are the future. So I'm a little worried if we didn't have that aspect of what agriculture was and what it does to us, that we'll lose a part of who we are.
If you want a strong Oregon, you have to invest in the students.
KGW's Evening News. Important stories to help you stay informed and keep your family safe.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Vidawanich.
And I'm David Molko.
Weather impact alerts to help you plan your week.
We need to be extra careful with anything that can throw a spark.
And a team of local journalists connected to our community. David Molko, Christine Vidawanich, and Matt Zaffino. Your Evening News team. Tonight on KGW.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We are learning more about the upcoming Super Bowl halftime show, and apparently there will be a height requirement for some workers. The production website for Bad Bunny's show says the job involves on-field assembly and disassembly of the stage, and applications indicate only people between 5'7" and 6 feet tall are eligible.
I just snuck in there. Do you think they'll hire me?
I mean, go for it. We'll see. The company handling the applications says the height requirement is very important, but it didn't say why, so that remains a bit of a mystery for now. You can watch this year's Super Bowl, by the way, on February 8th on air here on KGW and NBC.
I have a feeling we will be right here. All right, did you know today is National Nothing Day? It's a day to celebrate nothing at all.
Wow.
Maybe turtles. It makes me wonder whether we shouldn't bother with this story. But since we have already started down this path, apparently the whole thing traces back to, he does not look amused, 1972, and a guy who was tired of having to celebrate something every day. So he dubbed January 16th Nothing Day. The one exception when MLK falls on January 16th. We can celebrate lots here. We can celebrate Friday. We can celebrate, what else can we celebrate?
Some nice
sunshine in
sunshine this
January.
weekend.
Right,
Yeah.
so take that, Mr. Nothing. There's always something good.
It's always
happening,
something.
right? Okay, a New Jersey condo complex is now using DNA testing to push residents to pick up after their pets.
So dog owners in the area are required to have their pups swabbed, meaning their genetics are on file with the DNA dog waste management company named Poo Prints. So if someone finds dog poop that hasn't been picked up, a sample can then be taken and then it's sent off to a lab for testing.
Normally within a week, they give us results and they are able to tell us which dog it belongs to.
Once the DNA is matched to the dog, its owner could face a $250 fine. Whew. Just be better people.
Yeah, stick around. Another full hour of news coming up. Nothing going on in Seaside, by the way. Just a beautiful view.
See you in a couple minutes.